So there are a ton of pentaholics that follow this channel actually, and they are I want to give them a shout out because they are the ones that put me in contact. Gave your name. I saw your name on the director's list of or the, I guess was it director or videographer? Like what on the Pentatonix evergreen behind the scenes.
Mm.
What was your title on that? I apologize if I got it wrong.
Well, I did everything, but I directed the piece.
Okay, yeah,
And I said director because it was a real like mini doc. You know, it's
yeah,
not
sure.
just like a little scenes or on tour of like a cool video. I mean, it was really like a mini doc. So definitely directed the piece as
Yeah,
well as
okay.
shot.
So when it came
Yeah.
up, I put I screenshot. I was like, I gotta reach out to this guy because it was phenomenal, and I love this stuff. I love watching that stuff. It's so cool to every aspect of it. And you captured some really great moments in it. So I want to compliment
Yeah.
that. Can you talk a little bit on that process and how you decided what to keep and what not to keep and which songs to put in and all that aspect? Because there must
Yeah.
have been a lot of footage too, right?
There's a lot of footage. Yeah. What was interesting about that was that Pentatonix management hit me up and said, "Hey, we're recording this album and we're doing it a little differently than we normally do. And so we would love to get you in the studio for a few of the days." I mean, they did like 2 weeks of recording, and I was going to be in there for like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
In hindsight, like we didn't even, no one really knew what the scope of the project would be. It was kind of like just get in there and let's make something. And, I had said, if I'm going to do this, I kind of want to do it in a different way. I don't want to do it like a behind the scenes where, Kirsty or Scott look at the camera and go, "So today we're in the studio." It's like, it feels more highbrow to be recording their process and not just have these like, fun interviews that we do all the time, which they loved. So I brought 3 cameras into the studio. I'm the only person operating. Set 2 of them up on a tripod and 1 of them up on my Ronin. And I got a lot of footage. It's a lot of footage between them recording, between them talking about things, the arranging process, all the things that you kind of see in there. Well, because once you had all this footage, you realize like, wow, dude, like, what am I doing? What am I going to make? Really? Obviously, the most interesting thing was what's different about this process for them than normally.
Sure.
So taking all the parts of them talking, of them rehearsing, and like they don't usually sing every song and go over it together like they did around the piano. So that was already really compelling on top of them just harmonizing, which is just beautiful, and people want to see that, including myself. So so basically it was like breaking it down by song, by moments within those songs that are unique, that are special to the new process. There's a lot of stuff we cut. A lot of it is kind of similar. So that, making those choices, like what's the most powerful moment? Like, for example, when they're standing around the piano, I forgot exactly what song it was, but they go over it multiple times. There wasn't just the one time. I can't really show it multiple times when it's similar. They're in the same position, so finding what was most powerful, the most conversation. If they're talking about a note, that is it like or whatever, like let's get that in there, because you don't see that when they're in the studio normally. I've been in the studio with them where they go in and it's business, and they go in kind of solo and they hit some notes and they talk a little bit with Ben Bram. But they're pros and they know what they're doing. They're prepped ahead of time. So this was really cool, and a lot of footage, a lot of editing, but I felt like it was a piece that I was proud to say, like, I directed,
Yeah, absolutely. Are you ever, in the process of filming these, are you ever like, hey guys, could you do this? Or is it all just like a fly on the wall kind of?
This was strictly fly on the wall. Because I didn't want to interrupt their process. And also it's such an intimate moment for like the 5 of them to be there, and working together, collaborating, especially when they don't normally do things as the way they are. So I just didn't want to interrupt it, almost like you're in the wild, and you don't want to interrupt the nature that's happening, the way they're moving around. But when I do behind the scenes stuff, I will sometimes shape the video a little bit more, whether it's talking about like what I want them to kind of say with the interview, or, hey, can you do that again? Let me make sure I got this right. Or, why don't you come over here and tell me something, or get in a little bit closer. This was strictly like, whatever's, I was the fly on the wall, which definitely made it a little more challenging. But
Mhm.
that's why I brought 3 cameras and would get there and prep the cameras and stuff so that I kind of let 2 of them roll and I was operating the third one.
Hours and hours of footage. It'd be kind of cool though to see like you have this almost highlight reel of I think it's 17 minutes the video or something like that of the best footage. But it'd be interesting for like the diehard fans, I think, if they released like a 2 hour version, you know, where yeah, it maybe is a little bit more monotonous because you have, you know, 30 seconds of them practicing instead of 4 seconds. But it'd be an interesting little, you know, actual documentary for the people because you
Yeah.
know there's all levels of the fandom.
I think it would have been for that kind of documentary if I had been in the studio more and had other songs and more
Mm.
content, because
Hmm.
it really was like kind of repetitive. Some of them are like, you know, not very good takes that the band wouldn't really want shown anyway. You know, and on top of that, it's just like it's 17 minutes long. It probably there probably isn't too much more that would be worthwhile.
Mm.
Even rolling, it'd be like, okay, this is like the same take of something, just a little bit less interesting.
Oh yeah.
So if in hindsight, I wish I could have been in there the whole time, because you know there's some songs like even with the prayer, which you know is like their biggest one, where they were doing pieces here and there and they're listening to it, which is really cool. But I wasn't even told to come into the studio for the beginning part when they're
Hmm.
recording it, you know,
Hmm.
and that would have been really cool, like the 2 hour or even like that Beatles documentary that came
Yeah,
out
yeah.
where you're like listening,
That's
you're just
exactly what I
watching
was thinking about.
the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the content that's missing is not as interesting as the Beatles stuff for sure.
Hey, you never know. Some it might be, but that's cool, man.